All right, let's get right into it. Today we're tackling a real modern mystery. These huge futuristic cities in China, packed with everything you could ever want. Skyscrapers, shopping malls, you name it. The only thing missing? The people. So how on earth did this happen? Let's find out.
First, just to get a handle on the sheer scale of what we're talking about, the number is 65 million. An estimated 65 million homes across China are sitting completely, totally empty. This isn't just a couple of empty apartment buildings we're talking about. It is a massive, nationwide phenomenon. That number is so big, it's hard to even picture, right? Well, think about this. Those empty homes have enough space to house every single person in the United Kingdom, France, and Germany, and you'd still have room left over. It's an unbelievable amount of empty space.
Which brings us to the big question. The mystery we're really digging into today. Why? Why would anyone build these incredible, massive cities, only to just leave them deserted?
Okay, so first things first, we need to be clear on what we mean when we say a ghost city. Because, the term itself can be a little bit misleading.
See, in this case, a ghost city isn't some old town that people abandon. Nope, it's a brand new, freshly built city that was never actually lived in to begin with. These are literally cities built for people who just never showed up.
And yeah, let's just get this out of the way. Despite the spooky name, there are no actual ghosts involved. Sorry to disappoint. The real reasons these cities are empty are all about economics, and frankly, the true story is way more fascinating.
So, how did this whole thing even start? Well, you have to go back to the turn of the millennium, when China had this incredibly bold, ambitious vision for its own future.
So picture it's the early 2000s, right? People are flooding from the countryside into China's big cities, and things are getting overcrowded. So the government came up with this wild solution. Let's just build dozens of brand new, super modern cities from the ground up. The plan was to create jobs, modernize the whole country, and give millions of people amazing new homes. It was a grand vision that just went completely off the rails. As one source put it so perfectly, the dream shattered just like a smartphone getting run over by a car. I mean, what an image, right? It wasn't a slow decline. It was a sudden, catastrophic failure. A lot of these huge projects were just abandoned, with builders literally walking off the job.
So what causes a failure on that kind of epic scale? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was more like a perfect storm of 3 huge mistakes. Let's break them down.
You can really trace this whole disaster back to 3 main culprits. Really poor locations, prices that were just impossibly high, and a culture of real estate investment that completely backfired. The crazy part is how they all fed into each other. First up, location. You know the saying, location, location, location? Well, they kind of missed that memo. A lot of these new cities were plopped down in the middle of nowhere. They never really thought about building local industries or creating jobs. I mean, you can build the most beautiful apartments in the world, but if there's no way for people to earn a living, who's going to move there? Second, the prices were just bonkers. There's this one story that captures the craziness perfectly. A potential buyer asks an agent the price of a flat. The agent says $30.1 million. The buyer pauses for just 2 seconds, and the agent goes, "Oh, sorry, it's $30.2 million now. The price is going up every single moment." This kind of speculation bubble completely priced out the very people these cities were meant for.
And that leads us to the final and maybe most important reason, what's called the investment trap. With real estate prices shooting through the roof, a lot of wealthier people started buying up these apartments not to live in them, but just as an investment. Hoping to flip them for a huge profit later on. So you had entire buildings that were completely sold out, but also completely empty. And with no actual residents, you get no shops, no schools, no community, nothing. Just silent buildings. Look, hearing the facts and figures is one thing, but to really wrap your head around how strange this is, you kind of have to see it. So let's take a quick virtual tour of 2 of China's most famous ghost cities.
Our first stop is Ordos City, out in Inner Mongolia. This is probably the most famous ghost town in the entire world. It was designed from the get-go to be a massive, modern metropolis. And they did not spare any expense. The construction cost for Ordos City was a staggering 168 billion Indian rupees. That's over $2 billion US. They went all in, thinking this was going to be the next big thing.
And it's not like they cut corners on the design. Ordos has incredible architecture, from top designers, giant skyscrapers, sprawling shopping malls, movie theaters. They even built a museum for Genghis Khan. It has absolutely everything you could possibly want in a city, except, people.
Okay, if you thought Ordos was strange, our next example is just surreal. Meet Tianducheng. It's a city that was designed and built to be a perfect replica of Paris, France.
I'm not kidding. It's a total copycat city. It has Parisian-style streets, the same kind of architecture, and yep, that is its very own 354-foot-tall replica of the Eiffel Tower. But there are no tourists taking selfies, no residents sipping coffee at the sidewalk cafes. It's like a Hollywood movie set of Paris, just sitting empty in the middle of China.
So these bizarre, empty cityscapes, they're not just some weird curiosity. They are a massive, concrete lesson in what happens when development gets completely detached from actual human needs. And that's a lesson that matters everywhere.
I mean, this is the end result when homes are treated purely as financial assets. Just contrast that with a country like India, for example, where more than 2 million people are homeless and any empty plot of land is often occupied out of pure necessity. China's ghost cities are the most extreme outcome of a system where a property's value as a commodity totally eclipses its most basic purpose, as a shelter. And that leaves us with one final, really big question. In a world where so many countries are facing their own housing crises, is China's ghost city problem just a one-off, a weird cautionary tale? Or is it a warning sign of what can happen anywhere when property becomes all about speculation and gets totally disconnected from the fundamental human need for a place to live? It's something to think about. Thanks for watching.